Hey everyone, this is Michelle Lopez Boggs. I'm here with Chris Badgett. Welcome, Chris, to Unconventional Marketers, how top entrepreneurs start small and profit big without conventional marketing. Let me tell you guys a little bit about Chris and his interesting background. He is the co-founder and CEO of LifterLMS, a learning management system for WordPress. He helps education entrepreneurs create, launch, and scale high-value online training platforms. He believes in democratizing education in the digital classroom and contributing as much as possible to the WordPress community. So welcome, Chris.
It's great to be here, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So tell our audience a little bit about what your company does, how you help people, and what your product is.
So my company is for creating online courses or training-based membership sites through software called LifterLMS, which exists in the WordPress ecosystem. WordPress powers about 42% of the entire internet. Some of those websites need to have courses or membership sites or coaching programs, that kind of thing. So that's what we do. We help, I call the people that we help education entrepreneurs.
Awesome. And you told me that you have a database of 25,000 people or so. So for most of the people listening, they're not at that level yet. And they're like, oh, that's a lot of numbers. So take us back to like when you first started your business, before you even got your very first sale. Like, what was your mindset back then? And then how did you get from that to where you are now? What shifted in your mindset?
Well, I recently cleaned my email list, which was recently at 70,000. So now we're down to, a more engaged following. So it's been quite the journey, and that was built over about 7.5 years. And just a quick point of interest, especially since this is the Unconventional Marketing show. I don't have a background in business. I don't have a background in technology. Before I got into tech, I used to live in Alaska and run sled dogs up there. So marketing for me is something I self-taught, self-learned, and really my adventurous spirit, my explorer attitude. I've done a lot of traveling and climbing and stuff all over the world. I brought that to the business game, to the marketing game. And for me, getting started with no list, nobody knew who I was. I started with an agency and kind of pivoted that to a product. That's where Lifter was born. And really my first private clients, agency clients, became our first customers. So the market literally kind of pulled the product out of me. I didn't try to push the product onto people. But then once I really made that decision to switch to a product company, software company from a website and marketing agency, I had to basically build influence from scratch. And my approach to that is literally to do everything. Try everything, challenge every single assumption. I automated a lot of stuff, but I also did a lot of stuff and still do to this day that doesn't scale. Putting phone number on the website, cold outreach, reaching out to potential partners. My ground game, as I call it, is strong. So I have no problem spending 12 hours, especially in the beginning, 12 hours a day, let's say, just exploring Facebook groups, not being spammy and just connecting with people, helping people in my niche, in my target market. So really my secret has been an unusual, I think, amount of just sheer effort and open-mindedness in trying a lot of different things, from, community marketing, paid marketing, lead magnets, free courses, all different kinds of content marketing. I have a podcast with 400 episodes almost on it now. Our YouTube channel just crossed 1,000 videos. And even still to this day, we don't even get that many views on our videos, but we're so targeted in a niche. It's not about the size, it's just about the niche. But I could go on and on. I love marketing, but that's kind of how we approach it.
Yeah, it's amazing. So self-taught, that's a word that I heard. So how did you teach yourself? Did you read books, do courses? Did you hire mentors, or did you just do it all on your own?
I'm kind of prolific, so I did all those things. But first, I should say I do have a background in anthropology and social science. So I get my understanding of humans from that, cross-cultural and how psychology works and how people behave in groups and stuff. So marketing naturally came kind of naturally to me, in that sense that I already was passionate about humans. But I'm a voracious learner, reading or listening to a book a week. Podcast became a super learning tool for me. I've been listening to podcasts for 10 years, probably at least one a day. A lot of that is in business and marketing related stuff. So I think that's one of my skills or strengths, is just the ability to hold a lot of information. So I'm constantly learning and trying on new ideas.
So it sounds like you didn't really get in your own way. You didn't have, like, did you have any mental blocks or emotional blocks like a lot of entrepreneurs have, or business owners when they're starting out? Like they have self-doubt issues and confidence issues. They're not sure if they can even do it. Did you have any of that?
I had all of it, but my I think for me, I've spent a lot of time in the wilderness kind of stuff and extreme environments and dangerous situations out in the kind of the wild. I've had close calls with grizzly bears and all kinds of stuff like that. So when I come to the business world, I'm always grounded by what true fear and danger feels like. So that kind of gives me strength when I'm doing something like doing a webinar in front of thousands of people, and it's just not as bad as staring down the face of a grizzly bear at close range, or being in a helicopter in really bad weather and stuff like that. So there's that. But I also see business as the ultimate form of personal development. So you can't really grow as an entrepreneur, as a marketer or sales or a product person without also working on yourself. So I've been a work in progress myself from a personal development perspective this whole time too.
Yeah, I really like that part about the grizzly bears. So that's like putting it into perspective, where the contrast helps you not be afraid of doing the webinar, or like sending an email or doing a cold call, whatever it is. Like you're not dying. It's just you're doing the task. So that's really cool. And you said that the market pulled out of you the thing that you were selling, so you didn't try to force anything. So tell me about like how that went down. Was it that people were asking you for help with a certain thing, or like you kept noticing something? How did that happen?
I'm an extremely optimistic person, and I also really truly believe anything is possible if you put your mind to it. So, when I left the kind of the outdoor world and the guiding world and managing tourist operations and stuff like that, and I became an online business person, I just flipped a switch and be like, okay, I'm going to do this now after I had my first kids. And I had to figure it all out. And remind me of where we were going with this question.
Yeah, so like the market was asking you for a certain thing, and that's how you created your products, basically.
So I started just one-off building websites for clients myself. And then pretty quickly, I had an agency of 17 people. I was serving higher end clients. And I would often oversell what it was actually capable of, which caused me to expand the team, hire a real designer, hire a real developer. And through that, we were specializing in the Infusionsoft niche. High-end coaches over there, they needed a learning management system for their coaching program or membership and courses. So we were literally building these things from scratch for 30, 50, 70, $120,000 custom builds. And then it just made sense. Like, we need the tool that the market needs, that we keep building from scratch slightly differently each time. We just need to turn that into a product. So that's kind of how that happened. And then you kind of go from having a small handful of customers to lots of customers. And for the past 8 years, I've just been scaling that. And when we first launched, we only got 42 customers. I said we had to get 100 or we're not going to do the software product, but I'm kind of bullheaded. So we kept going anyways. And here we are.
Yeah, it's amazing. And how would you define marketing? What is marketing?
That's the $1 million question right there. The first thing I would say is that sales and marketing aren't the same. So for some people, there's a they get kind of confused. Marketing is essentially generating the lead, and sales is closing the lead. I heard a definition once I really like, which is marketing owns the problem, sales owns the solution.
Mm.
And there's so many different types of marketing these days, from community to content, inbound, outbound. There's a lot of different kinds, but really what it's about is, you know, building influence, communicating an offer, and, you know, developing a relationship with the people you're trying to interact with. And of course, I'm a fan of, you know, targeted marketing, not kind of interruption billboard style marketing.
Yeah. And so segueing into that, like what kind of marketing do you personally love that you've seen from other companies, and what kind of marketing do you hate, you can't stand it, whether it's your industry or other industries?
I like this phrase, scaling the human touch with robotics. And what I mean by that is that there's a lot that you can automate and figure out how to scale. And but the best marketing has a little bit of the human condition still left inside of it. Could be a live chat agent. You could be able to talk to a real person, maybe jump on a webinar where you can actually get a question answered, or have a sales call, or whatever it is. What I love, the types of marketing I love, I think one of my favorite ones I interacted with a little bit ago was a live chat tool called Drift. They were just really big on conversational marketing and community marketing. I went to their event in Boston. One of my customers actually invited me to go to the event with her, and I went, and I won like this golden ticket under my seat, and all the talks were amazing, and I just became a fan. And there's so much, and it had a lot of humanity into it, but they were also a very big, successful company that had a lot of automation as well. So that's what I like. What I don't like is, you know, just kind of, if you go to a website, there's no human faces on it. You can't really, the communication is not clear. It's optimized for efficiency and budget, and it just shows. And I don't like that.
Yeah. Do you think those companies are actually successful by not having that human touch?
I mean, some I'm sure are, but in the long run, they're easier to disrupt. You know, one of the first things I kind of teach my people, especially if they're new and they're launching as a coach or a course creator, take your cell phone number and put it on the top of the website. It is okay to talk to people, especially when nobody knows who you are yet. And that's like a mindset shift it's hard for people sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely difficult for me when I was first started. I would not get on the phone with people. I would not do Zoom calls. 2020 changed all of that for me. So that's good. Do you use funnels at all in your business?
Everything in marketing is a funnel. So I believe funnels are bigger than, I think it's just a way to visualize the customer journey, and through all the stages of awareness. And yeah, I mean, because I try a lot of things, I have a lot of different funnels, and as time goes on, I try to make things organized better, because it gets a little messy, and I think it's okay for it to be a little messy. For example, you know, I've rebuilt our nurture campaigns and email marketing 3 times over the past 8 years. You know, we've redone our website a couple times. The way we approach social media and how we funnel leads from our 8,000 person Facebook group into as customers has changed over time. So everything's a funnel in marketing, in my opinion, or a flywheel. And there's also like there's also like kind of a web where they all kind of connect together, because humans don't always behave perfectly and go precisely through your funnel the way you think. So it's kind of a combination of art and science.
Yeah. And speaking of that customer journey, so I was just talking to somebody else about this. Like, how does someone figure out what their customer journey is? Like, it can take, you said messy, which I agree, and it can take many years to figure that out. But like, if someone's just starting brand new at their business, like, should they worry about the customer journey? Should they like set up autoresponders and a landing page and that kind of thing? Like, what should they be focusing on if they're just trying to even get their very first sale, their very first client?
Well, the first thing is, if you're serving a previous version of yourself, it's easier to understand the customer journey because it was a previous version of you. or like in my case, I was working with as an agency serving these clients. So I knew them. I wasn't inventing a customer avatar that I didn't know. These were high-end coaches doing yoga or business training and all kinds of stuff like that. But the simple funnel, I'm guilty of this. I started in Infusionsoft, all these complicated conditional logic, tagging, all this stuff. But really it starts with the offer. You really have to understand your pitch and what you're selling. And there's actually two funnels. It's more like a bow tie. So the thing I would focus on first is actually the conversion, like the very black hole center of the funnel. You also have this whole customer success funnel on one side where after they buy, they should have just as much, your business should have just as much focus on them getting to the outcome and the goal that the reason they bought your product. That whole funnel, the customer success funnel, is just as important. But on the marketing funnel side, nail your offer. What's before that? It's a conversion event, which is a call, a webinar, a free trial. There's not really that many different conversion tools to help somebody convert. That's why I often recommend to people, put your phone number on the top. That's the conversion event. It's for you to be able to talk to this prospect, even if you have a low price product, and help them convert. What comes before the conversion event? This is where you have something to capture a lead. Maybe it's a lead magnet, it's a PDF, it's a free mini course, it's a guide of some kind. And then after you capture that lead, if you could only send 3 emails, even manually without a CRM, what would you say to nurture that lead? And that's really your first funnel right there. And then actually before that, what free piece of content can you put out in the world to get somebody interested so that they might be interested in your lead magnet? So it's really like a 3-step: free content, lead magnet, conversion tool, and then they buy. That's the basic funnel.
I love that. So good. And what would you say has been the biggest challenges in marketing your business?
The biggest challenge for us is that we exist in the WordPress ecosystem, which is, it's not a controlled environment. There's a lot of different tools that people put together to kind of make a website or fulfill the vision of what they want to do with their online business. And so what that does for us is it's very hard for us to focus on a very specific customer avatar. People will use our product to do things like sell courses, but I've also seen people sell live streaming events or all kinds of different use cases that we didn't even build the product for, but they do it anyways. So the challenge for me is when you're in like this kind of open system where you don't control the whole environment, people get creative. So how do you market to all these different size companies and all these different use cases? That's been our biggest challenge. Of course, we focus on where the majority of our people are, but I never like to leave anybody out. So we take the time to kind of focus on the edge cases too.
Yeah, I love that. And what would you say has been the most effective or profitable form of marketing?
For us, it's 2 things. One, we use a free mini course to help both educate people about how our product works. Essentially, it in less than 2 hours, it shows people how to set up the entire product, use the essential 10% of it to get to core value. And that same free course also reduces customer support on the other side because it just automates the onboarding experience. So that's been very helpful. That's been one of our largest drivers of email list growth, and honestly has helped us to do a lot with a small team. I'm a huge fan of video marketing, and that's kind of like video marketing structured inside of an online course. That's huge. And then the other stuff is really just the human touch for us, a lot through video. So that's our podcast and our YouTube channel generates a lot of top of funnel awareness, and that's been super helpful. And I will say, I ran our sales webinar many times every week for a couple of years to the point where I could automate it, but I didn't try to start with an automated webinar video. But now I know after doing it 100 times what people want to say, what they're going to ask. So we've been able to automate that.
Nice. And what would you say has been the biggest waste of time and money as far as marketing tactics?
For me, I haven't been the best at metrics of like instrumenting the funnel so that I can clearly see what's working and what's not. So if I could do it all over again and start at the beginning, I would, as I built out this more, try a lot of things, I'd better instrument the funnel so I could track conversions of different kinds and what's working, what's not, and what's more important than the other. It's been a little messy. So that's been our biggest waste of time there.
Okay. So
not tracking.
What about like social media and paid ads? What's your thought on those?
For me personally, I could never really get paid ads working. We have a lower price point in general than, you know, what I see a lot of my fellow entrepreneurs who do get paid ads working. But I'm also open to the idea that maybe I just haven't figured it out or I haven't found the right agency because I've failed with both. Social media, we do, but most of the value for us comes from our Facebook group where we're actively curating a community, having conversations every day, connecting people with other people. So that's been useful. But I've also learned to time box social media so you don't end up in the black hole in there forever.
Yeah. And so the paid ads that didn't work, were you running those to like an actual paid product or to the free gift to get people on the landing page or both?
I've tried it all.
You tried it all. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I still like when I'm doing a product launch of some kind, I'll still do paid ads, but I see it more as brand awareness than driving conversions. Because just because somebody became aware of this product we're launching, they don't necessarily click the link. They just remember, and then they get home and then they type it in and they go there. So it's been a challenge and it's not a total loss, but I haven't cracked that nut.
Okay. Yeah. Ads are tricky for sure. What do you think makes for a successful piece of content in general? I know you like video marketing. So like, what about blogging or just anything like social media posts? What makes a good piece of just content?
One problem to solve per piece. So that's it, like focus. And it's for a very specific purpose for a specific type of person. And when possible, to use multiple content types within. I do love blogging. So, you know, and there's the people that like to read the whole thing. There's the scanners, there's the visual people, there's the people that hate videos, there's the people that like to read, there's the people that hate to read. So as much as you can multimedia type it, the better.
Awesome. Okay. And just in observing other entrepreneurs, like what do you see as people's like main mindset block that a lot of people struggle with that you've just observed, like in your own personal experience? What's something that people tend to struggle with the most?
In my industry, I've put a lot of thought into this and I've just observed it a lot over a decade, is an over focus on self versus serving others. For example, you know, I need to make money online, or it's about my business and my 6-figure this or that. When you really focus on service and you know, defining your core customer and the problem you solve and the way you solve it in a unique, efficient way, that's where the real value comes out of. So it's turning that focus. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have a great business and make money and all that stuff, but really having that servant focus is that's where the real value comes in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's awesome. And then I know my listeners are curious. What is your human design type?
I'm a manifesting generator.
All right, awesome. And you guys, Chris had no idea like what that even means, but for people out there that are curious, that basically means he's a superhuman and can do whatever he wants and go straight to the top. So there's another type, which is a projector, which is me. And for that person, it's not quite as easy as like just going right up to the top. Like there's some other things that go into that. So I just like to throw that in. And do you believe in astrology? Do you follow it? Do you think it's important to know that as a business owner, or no?
I do. I think there's a lot in the design of nature and everything. And then also we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and there's a lot we don't know outside the bounds of our current science. So yeah, I'm all about it. My mind is extremely open. It's wide open.
Okay, cool. And before we talk about your free gift that you have to offer to everybody, is there anything else that you would like to leave the audience with as far as marketing and selling and growing your business?
Choose wisely what you're going to focus on. One of my superpowers is that my personal mission is my company mission, my life mission. So, which is to lift up others through education. I see education as a really powerful force in society and the world, and you can build a business around that. So because I'm aligned there, it keeps me going through the hard times and through the challenging times. So as much as you can focus on aligning your purpose with your work, the better it's going to go if you're going to be in it for the long haul.
I love that. So focus on education. That's great. And tell everybody what your free gift is and where they can find you. And I'll also post a link to all that on this page somewhere. But where can people find you?
Absolutely. So I'm at LifterLMS.com. So go check us out there. I also have a podcast for course creators called LMS Cast. And I'm pretty active on Twitter at Chris Badgett. And then my free gift, if you go to lifterlms.com and jump over to our academy, we have a course that people kept asking me to teach them how we do it at our company about annual and quarterly planning. And I actually paid a business coach a lot of money to learn this process. And so I'm just giving it away for free with his permission to do that, by the way. And yeah, so that's a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with planning the year, planning the quarter. They struggle with shiny object syndrome. They struggle even more as they start to build a team around the project. And once I learned this process, it changed everything in my life, got so much less stressful, and we got so much more done, especially over the course of a year. So I'm just giving that to you today. So I'm sure there's a link below or somewhere for that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very generous of you. So thank you for sharing that. And awesome. Well, this was a really cool conversation. Thank you, Chris, so much for sharing your insights. And yeah, thanks for being part of Unconventional Marketers.
Thanks, Michelle.
All right, you guys, thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next interview.